Is the Torah real or is it parabolic? What should I make of the Torah? This series is going to explore not only how the Torah is real, but the events actually took place in a real understanding, and not only that, how the events that took place are corroborated by historical evidence, scientific evidence, archaeological evidence, and will give you a sense of how these events took place and what we're supposed to understand from them. The Torah is real. Welcome to the next episode. Today we're going to be talking about evolution. Now, we would think that evolution really started in 1831 with Charles Darwin and his work, The Origin of Species. True, you could go back a little bit further to the hierarchies of classifications and scientific system, etc., but really 1831 is when evolution as a theory was proposed. Was it proposed by an atheist? No. It was proposed by a theologist. Charles Darwin was very religious and a big practicing theologist. Did you know also that the first time science put a name to the Big Bang Theory and theorized the start of the universe was 1920? That was Georges Lemaitre, a Belgian priest and cosmologist. Evolution and the Big Bang Theory is in its infancy. And before you go jumping down and saying, 1 second, there's so many great minds who believe in evolution and believe in the Big Bang Theory, I agree with you. But do they believe in it from an atheist point of view, like Hawkins, or do they believe it from a theology point of view? Let me point you to Theodosis Jablonski. He was the father of showing how biology worked through evolution. Now, I'm going to tell you that not only does evolution work with religion, not only does evolution work with the Torah, but I'm going to prove to you the Torah predicted evolution, predicted the Big Bang Theory 4,000 years before modern science did. And I'm going to tell you that they both work together. As a matter of fact, there is a Talmudic concept that God works in nature through natural means. Therefore, creation was also made through natural means. And you don't have to take my word for it. You don't even have to take the Talmud's word for it. Why don't you take one of the great scientists' word for it? Again, that's our good friend, Dr. Theodosis Jablonski, who said the Creator brought about his plan through the process of evolution. Let's dig in. The first verse in the entire Torah, Bereshis bara Elokim, when God, singular bara, singular it, he created. When in the beginning, God created Es HaShamayim. When it says Es, it means the entire category, the proper noun, including everything. So Es HaShamayim means all the skies, all the heavens, all the air, the Es HaAretz, and all matter. In the beginning, God first created time. There was such thing as time. No concept of time. So God created time, he created matter, and he created space. Therefore, that calls to a singular event where all of a sudden everything was created out of nothing. Allah. Big Bang. And then God said, let there be light. Boom. Bang. Energy. Light. God saw the light, and it was good. He separated between the light and the darkness. Now, we know that darkness is the absence of light. However, we also see that darkness prevailed on the world first. In other words, God created darkness. Darkness is definitely something that was created. Think of black hole. Definitely something that was a darkness that is not just the absence of light, but in itself is a darkness. We can also learn that good was made, light was made after dark. That's the status quo. Light has to be brought to light up the space. So God called the darkness night, and he called the light day. There was day and there was night. Now, it says Yom Echad. It doesn't say Yom Rishon, the first day, because there was no first day. We already had a in the beginning. The sun and the moon, the cycle on Earth, that is what controls daytime. Therefore, until Earth was formed, there could not be a day per se. There was day one, meaning chapter one of creation. God said there should be a rakia, which means a spanse. In other words, there should be gravity. There should be a connection between matter. So God made this expanse. He called this rakia Shemayim, which is just space. Suddenly, there were atoms that were connecting. There was molecules being formed. There were these formations, physical, in the form of gas, in the form of solid, in the form of liquid. Now we go. And God said that let there be water below the skies in one place. They should gather in one place. And whatever is dry, that should be another place. In other words, there should be oceans and there should be dry land. What was there? Planets. Gas giants just basically mist. You have water giants, which we don't know about yet, but there's plenty of water out in space, and that is forming, and now we have the celestial beings being formed. So God called whatever was dry land, in other words, matter, l'mikveh mayim, kara yam, and the gathering of the water, then he called oceans. Those were liquids, because you have the central structure gathered together of gathers of water, which are seas. You have dry, which is land. Obviously, ice planets. That's just water that's frozen. And then you have the gas in the atmosphere, and that's space. Then God said, let there be vegetation. There should be things growing in the water. There should be things growing on the land. The earth shall sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees of every kind bear plants. The really, really early sea creatures that are growing microscopic and then eventually get big enough for the eye to see. And eventually, also, these things leave the water. The ground itself, using the moisture, grows these things. Mosses, grasses, branches, vines, trees, foliage eventually start to grow all over. It doesn't mean we're going to find planets with life on it, although we may. And even if we don't find it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But what it means is the concept of these single cells evolving into multiple cells, into organisms, into larger structures, that was put into place in creation. And there we go. Now you have day 3. Still no earth, still no sun, still no moon. 4th day, sun and the moon. If we were talking about something else other than a Big Bang and the creation solely of our Earth, our solar system, then what you would have is the sun and the moon created first. Clearly, we're talking about going from out to in. So therefore, instead of talking about what happened on Earth with the seas and with the land and with the vegetation, what would happen first would be the sun and the moon, and then you would have it. But what's happening is we're talking about the start of creation, the start of the Big Bang, and the ability for life to exist on dry land and life to exist in water. That was created. Now we're talking about our solar system, day 4. Now we get to the sun, the moon, the billions of stars. There were two great ones that were created locally, one to guard the day, the sun, and one smaller one for the night, the reflective one, the moon, which is at night, the Esakachavim, and all the stars. In other words, going back to all the great lights that were created in the heavens. And then God said, the start of the fifth day, let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures and birds and fly above the earth and the expanse in the sky. So now all of a sudden, you're talking about the waters bringing single-celled, multi-celled organisms, sprouting them forth. Eventually, talking about from fish, amphibious creatures, lizards, and then birds. Edition, God created the great sea monsters and sea serpents, and all the living creatures that creep and swarm and swim, and every winged bird of every kind. That was the fifth day. And then on the sixth day, and then God made every sort of beast, every wild beast, every cattle, domesticated animal, creeping things, everything that went onto the earth. Then God said to the earth, Nase Adam. God said to matter, let us make man. I'm going to put part of my spirit into him, and you're going to put matter. He's going to be made of matter. He's going to be a physical, living thing, but I'm going to breathe life into him. We're going to do it together, so to speak. Man should rule over fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and the whole earth and all creeping things. And thus, humans basically do that. With the holy and spiritual and godlike image was as God made man, Zachar and Nekeva, male and female, bara Isam, and he created them. God created mankind. This is not Adam. This is not Adam. Adam wasn't created yet. This is mankind. Mankind was created. There is a jump, a huge evolutionary jump between all sorts of apes and humans. There is a huge jump that scientists cannot explain, because every step of the way God made the next step. There is no evolutionary link except for the fact that they were made in that pattern. And of course, we know that God saw everything he did. It was very good. There was evening and there was morning, and that was the sixth day. And then God rested on the seventh day, and we'll continue.